Yes, lads, and welcome back. For those that don't know or new ones, my name is Harrison Chamberlain and I'm an online coach. I basically started taking a lot of my content to YouTube, and over this video, I'm going to show you how you should be training if you do want to grow. So I do run my online coaching. I've got one-to-one coaching, which is my premium coaching, and I've also got something called Alpha 2.0, which is a group coaching, more affordable. And they're both the sort of coaching that I deliver. So how you should be training if you want to grow. People underestimate this massively, that they think, like a previous YouTube video I've done and talked about training intensity, people think that they can eat a bit of protein, walk in the gym, push a bit of weight and build muscle and grow. It's not true. And in fact, as you get older, it will start to get harder to build the muscle. As we do get older, in the later ages, our body starts to lose muscle tissue. Now, this is why it's so important to strength train, lift weights. I think it's massively important in our older years as well, because if we're not using it, we're going to lose it, right? If you're not eating the correct amount of protein, and I always go off 1 gram per pound of body weight, then again, your body's not really got a reason to hold on to that protein. We're sort of telling our body we don't really need that muscle. We're sort of telling our body we don't really need that muscle. So it's so important. I think even in the older ages, for older people, if they can just, I'm not talking start pushing 100 kilo and doing things way out of the norm, but getting a little bit of stimulus there to drive some stress is telling your body you need that muscle, right? Because as we get older, we start falling, and that's due to lack of muscle, and breaking hips, things like this, breaking legs and things like this. We fall because our body does not have much muscle tissue anymore. So I'm going to show you a few videos of how I train, and if you're not training with intensity like this, then you're not going to grow, right? So this first video, let's pause these. Well, it's just going to play them all at the same time. Pause, and focus on this one. So you see here, look, I'm on like rep 3 now. This is legs. Okay, look at the intensity that I'm keeping. Right, 3, 2, 1. A little pause at the top. Pause there. 3, 2, 1. So I always go with the tempo, 3 seconds in the eccentric, which is the deload, 1 second pause, 2 seconds in the concentric, which is as you're coming forward, so which will be on that next one as you're coming in to that rep, and then a 1 second pause. So that tempo, and this is something that I always say to my clients, I always keep the same tempo when I'm lifting weights. The reason being, it's a very good way to measure what you're lifting, right? If you go to the gym 1 week and you got 40 kilo and you're just going whoosh, whoosh, smashing them out as fast as you can, you probably will get 8 reps. If you now slow that down to the tempo of what I just done, 3 seconds in the eccentric, 1 second pause, 2 second concentric, 1 second pause, I guarantee you'll probably get 4 reps, 3 reps. You're going to get half. So it's a very good way to measure your rep progression. This is what I think with tempo. Not only that, is the more stress and tension you put yourself under in the eccentric, in the negative of the lift. So let's say for bench, as we are deloading, the more muscle you're going to build, right? And that's the goal here, right? If you're wanting to build muscle, the slower you go, the more stress, the more tension, the more you're going to load that muscle, right? And the better it's going to be. If you're rushing these things, it's not, you're not really doing anything. You're not getting engagement. You're not feeling that contraction within that muscle part that you're actually training, right? If you want to be a power lifter, then you can go do that. But here, your focus is to be building muscle. So that's how we want to be lifting. It's the same goes for here as well. As you can see here, one tip here, lads, one tip here I can say massively is, right, I'm letting that lat, so I'm working the lat here, so I'm letting that lat pull me forward. I'm keeping everything tight here, right? I'm keeping everything tight, and I'm driving my elbow. Picture driving your elbow into your pocket, right? And one thing I always do as well, so I will drive that elbow, if you can see me here, I will drive this elbow into the pocket, and when I've got to the end, let's just adjust this. When I've got to the end, just to get a little bit more contraction, I'll drive that elbow into the pocket. I will almost try and get this elbow round to touch my spine, just so I'm getting a little curve, because I can feel a lot more contraction. And I actually saw someone do this, and it was George Osborne. So George Osborne ever comes across this video, then shout out to you, because that's where I got that little tip from, and it massively helps. So you're driving that elbow down into that pocket, and then that little bit of contraction at the end, just to get a little bit more dig, stretch. Using that elbow to try and drive around my spine, right? Trying to touch my spine a little bit. Then I'm deloading. 3, 2, 1. I'm letting that lat pull forward, and you should feel tension that whole time. That whole 30, 40 seconds of the set, right? You're not going 3, 2, 1, then going 3, 2, 1. That whole time needs to have resistance. That whole time needs to have tension on the muscle to grow. So I'm just going to go over that again. Look at this. Right? Squeeze 1 second, because that squeeze hurts. Right? And I know that the more I'm feeling that, the more muscle I'm building. You can see the contraction, look. Driving this elbow down into my pocket. Right? Nice. That's how we want to be lifting. If we want to grow muscle tissue, that's how we want to be lifting. And if I go on to, same as this video, right, for incline chest. So again, I'm not slamming these weights down nice and fast, right? Pretty much 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and up. Good. Hold, little slight pause at the top. I'm not rushing anything. I'm not trying to go super, super quick, right? Because here, my top set would have been 6 to 10 reps. I'll fail in that rep range, let's say. I don't know how many I've actually got here, but let's say it's 7, 8. Okay, or yeah, let's say it's around that. Right. I then, that next week, let's say I've got 8. That next week, I'm aiming for 9, right? That next week after that, I'm aiming for 10. Yes, some weeks you might hit the same rep. That's cool. Might happen. Then that next week I'll go for 10. Then once I know I've got a good 10 at the same tempo, same intensity, I'm then driving that weight up to 42 kilo, and then I'm going for 6 reps again. Then I'm repeating the process, 6 reps. The next week I'm going for 7 until I get back up to 10. I'm then going to move the weight up to 44 kilo. This is called progressive overload. Progressive overload, right? This is how we're building tissue. This is how we know we're getting stronger and building muscle, because there's no one behind me that's lifting that extra weight, right? If you're progressing with your lifts, the air in the room is not lifting that weight, right? It's muscle that you're building on your body. It's muscle that is being cemented on your body. So the key tips for this: intensity. If you aren't pushing hard and the set doesn't carry any intensity, like I've just shown you in the video, you will not grow. Don't expect to grow, right? Crap form, shit results, right? Shit form, shit results. Expect it. Put down the weights that you can't actually lift. Drop the ego and focus on the form. Okay. I saw a young lad in the gym the other day, actually, and he had about 32 kilos, and he's probably only like high 50s in weight. Small lad enough, someone that I thought, they're going to try lifting as heavy as possible. I can tell you now, it's probably the best set I've ever seen someone lift. I went over and said to the lad, I said, if you keep lifting like that and you're bang on your food, you're gonna grow some solid tissue. Because what I see with most lads is, and we've all been guilty of it, I used to do it myself, you're just trying to lift the heaviest weight to be like, yeah, I lifted the 46s today. The heaviest weight with no form, it's not doing anything. Stop it, drop the ego. You're here to get stronger, you're here to build a muscle. The next thing is range of movement. Again, this can link to the form. If you're not getting much range of movement, then it's likely you're not going to feel the muscle contraction when performing the exercise. If you're not feeling that, you're not actually training that muscle part, so you're not going to grow, right? Tempo. I always say this usually, and this is what I've just talked about. A tempo I keep in mind is 3 second in eccentric, 1 second pause, 2 second concentric, 1 second pause, right? Keep that tempo. Jot your lifts down in your notebook, in your notes in your phone, and I guarantee you'll start to get stronger and build more muscle. But remember, you need to keep that training intensity high. You need to be on your food, on your protein, because again, if you're not actually eating the right amount of protein, you're not going to grow any muscle. And lastly, if you want to see more content like this, lads, more about how I get the lads I coach in shape, education around fitness, then drop me a follow, subscribe, because we're on YouTube. But also you can head over to my Instagram as well, where you'll see more lads that I've got in shape, more content on there, short form based content, which is Harrisons_coaching. If you do want me to personally help you as well get in shape, you can always drop me a message on Instagram, or even drop a comment on your YouTube, and I can get in touch and we can have a chat from there. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next video. Take care and keep the training up. Make sure we're training hard, hitting the food, and go grow some muscle.